gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for April 28th, 2023 for the next hour or so. Let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, PlayStation 5 sales are breaking records and Redfall's PC requirements are pretty reasonable. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Tamoor Hussain, returning champion. How are you doing?
Back, baby.
Let's do it.
I was
glad
gone
to hear
for a
from you.
really long time. Yeah, I went to like England for a while, then I came back and got insanely busy,
Yes.
and then it's been wacky, but I'm back to bring everyone together on Dregs Day.
It's Dregs Day. It definitely is a Dregs Day. We're kind of like picking apart other stories from earlier in the week a little bit, and then kind of like following up on some stuff, but lazily, lackadaisically, we're like laying on our back and like sort of swatting at stuff like a big fat cat is how I feel.
Oh God, I love a fat cat.
Me too.
Oh God,
boy.
I love a fat cat so much.
Me too. Big fan of fat cats.
Yeah.
Not like business fat cats, just literal fat cats.
That's the difference. Like, I'm not trying to start the cat versus dogs war again, but
who can help
a
themselves?
fat cat, adorable. A fat dog,
tragedy.
horrifying.
It's a tragedy.
Yeah, tragedy. You're just like, oh God, put it away.
Yeah, it's like someone messed up here. Someone has done something evil here. Like the cat is like has attained its optimum form once it's like round. And it's like, I was just gonna roll over anyhow. Like this just makes it easier to roll over. Like totally. That's how I feel as well. But I want to say, like, Tam, last night I was text messaging Mike Minotti because we were about to start a podcast, and I was like, "Hey, where are you? What's going on?" And I was like, and then he responds, "What is going on? What is happening here?" And then I made fun of him in my Discord with my mods, saying he doesn't even realize the podcast is starting. And then I realized I was texting you instead.
I was like so confused. I was like, what is happening? Because you were like, are you asleep? Are you dead? And I was like, what's going on? And like,
I didn't even look. It was just like, I was like using the web messages thing from my, and I'm just like, I'm gonna fucking dunk on this stooge here. And it's like, of course, in the end, as always, I was the idiot. Oh boy, that was bad.
It was a wonderful little moment.
I have to like come clean because it just was so dumb. It was so dumb. Yeah.
Honestly, like when you were like, "Oh, this is embarrassing" or whatever, I was like, it could be worse, and it could have been worse. Imagine you were like sending nudes to your wife. Or
exactly.
something.
Yeah. I was like,
and I'm looking at
here's the left butt cheek. If you want to see the right butt cheek, send me some stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That could have been way worse.
Oh well, that's I think that set me up for this Dregs Day. So let's get into it. Before we do, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Sony smashes console shipping record as PS5 clears 38 million consoles shipped. This comes from Andy Robinson of VGC. Sony Interactive Entertainment has shipped a record 6.3 million PlayStation 5 consoles during the first 3 months of the year to reach 38.3 million consoles shipped life to date. This reportedly represents a record for any game console during a calendar Q1 window. It's also double PlayStation 4's all-time peak for that same window and more than triple what PS5 managed during the same supply-constrained period last year. Tam, that is that's a lot of consoles. PlayStation 5 is just crushing it right now, right?
Yeah, and we were worried, for a little bit where we were like, the availability is an issue. Is that going to hamper it in the long term? Nope.
Not even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit.
Really, it hasn't missed a beat.
All that was happening was, imagine an elastic band around a finger, right? Like, all that was happening during COVID and the supply demand was getting pulled back further and further and further and further dangerously. And now they let go. And that shit is just soaring through the air.
And they even introduced a little bit of slack with like, let's increase it $50.
Let's make it a little heavier, $50.
And that did not hurt it at all.
That's what you come to Game Mess Mornings for. Very good analogy.
Yes, exactly.
Rubber band finger. You don't get that on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Okay.
Analogy of the week.
There it
is. Hell yeah. It's but you're right. Like we were I guess worried was because we're like, hey, the PS4 was going on this this trajectory, and the PS5's underneath that. And is it going to catch up by the end of this generation? Maybe even by the end of this year. That seems pretty optimistic. It's like, no, literally 1 quarter later, they crush a record to twice what the PS4 ever did in Q1 is really surprising, because the PS4 sold very, very fast right out of the gate, and then it kept selling faster and faster through the first half of the generation. So this is definitely somewhat of an anomaly, because, hey, they're catching up on all that demand. But I imagine them to carry a lot of this momentum forward, and that's what they're saying in their earnings report. Yeah, we sold 19.1 million. Our goal was 19 million. Our goal for next year is 25 million, and I think they're going to get there.
Yeah, they will get there. They've also got like a pretty strong lineup of games coming out. I mean, there's supposed to be a Spider-Man game coming soon, so that'll be the trick, I reckon, for a little while.
That's probably going to help, and then that team's going to have a Wolverine the following year, and then they probably have a bunch of other stuff to announce, right? I mean, that we haven't heard from a lot of studios in quite some time. The studios we have heard from are like, yeah, we're working on some stuff, and factions will be coming soon. Like, yeah, they got a lot to announce, right?
Exactly, and we'll see a decent amount of it at Summer Games Fest. Rest in peace, E3. And I think like that will just kind of propel the excitement around games and around having a console like the PlayStation 5 again. And yeah, that momentum will probably carry forward into next year, I reckon.
So we keep saying, oh, it's already caught up. It's definitely caught up in some territories in the United States, but the actual numbers are PlayStation 4 had shipped just over 40 million consoles during the same period of its life cycle, whereas we're at 38-ish million for the PS5. It is going to probably officially catch up with that number and surpass it, I think, probably by this holiday at the latest. So effectively, it has caught up and is going to be probably surpassing the PS4. Do you expect that to mean it, in the end, PS5 definitely sells more than the PS4 did?
I think so. I think the other thing that we're kind of like haven't thought about much is like a revision of it.
Yeah.
We're still due one of those. Like, you know, there's some changes that we've seen. Sony even itself has kind of flagged as potentially like cleaning up, and there's definitely things that we can come up with that they can improve. And Sony does love to do a revision. I think it's been doing revisions guaranteed since PS3, not PS2, right? The Slim. One, I guess, the little bar of soap one. So it's always doing a revision at least once in a life cycle. So we're still due a PS5 revision, which will help it in the long-term boost sales as well. So I think in the end, it will reach either PS4 levels or higher. If I had to bet, I would say higher.
Yes, I think I'm with you, and I think you're right. Like, we are operating under the current like sort of trajectory of like where the system's headed, without thinking about those revisions. Even Sony is kind of phrasing it in those terms. CFO Hiroki Totoki, in a quote when they was talking to investors, said, "If we could achieve that number being the 25 million number, it would be our highest level ever." And so it's like, okay, yeah. And then they're kind of, and they said they base that, like they think they can do that, and they're confident that they could do that because they're looking at data that shows the rate of PS4 users that are upgrading to PS5 is extremely high right now.
Yeah.
And it's like they know that and they see that people are still playing their PS4s. There's a lot of people still buying games on their PS4s, and they've been biding their time. And now, once Spider-Man 2 gets here, I think that really is going to be a major catalyst. Even before we talk about revisions, which rumor is, at least one rumor out there saying we're going to get a slim revision later this year. And yeah, that could really. Let me ask, that revision specifically is one that's like, this is just going to be the one PS5, and then if you want to add a disc drive to it, you buy it separately. If it's slimmer but it doesn't have a disk drive, do you think that is something that like a lot of people upgrade toward, or is that just become like the new base model that people are buying?
I think they have a version of both. Like, I think they have a slim version of both the disk drive and the digital one. Let's not forget, like, as I think the larger mainstream still has a thing in their mind that it needs to have a disk drive, where like a lot of us are ready to move on to like digital, and then a lot of us aren't. But like, I think for a mainstream, if they want to hit the sales numbers they need to appeal to the broadest audience, which is the audience outside of gamers like us. And in order to do that, they need to have something like a disc, because, you know, introducing an idea like, you know, all digital creates a lot of challenges in people's heads, and, you know, grandma's going to get confused when there's no disk drive.
It's always those grandmas. We have more confused grandmas in gaming than any other industry per capita.
Yeah. What is the deal with grandmas?
I don't know. It's tough out there for them though. It's like the Wii U. What's the difference?
Grow up, grandma.
Yeah, grow
Actually,
up.
Don't
Thank
grow
you.
up. You're too close to the grave.
As part of the chat with investors, Sony also explained that their Game and Network Services division, which encompasses like all of the PlayStation stuff as well as PlayStation Plus and all the subscription and advertising revenue that they do, was up 61% year over year to 7.9 billion. So yeah, they're selling a lot of consoles. They are also producing a lot of revenue, and that is contributing greatly to their profitability, which PlayStation continues to be a very profitable business for Sony.
I think the other thing that I was thinking about is, I guess I don't know if it's going to have a major impact, but it is potentially something that could help with sales later on down the line if they position it strategically as PSVR 2. I mean, like PSVR kind of came and went. It was a blip on the radar, but it is a really good piece of technology. It's just very expensive right now, and there's not a lot going for it. I wonder if later on down the line they did a bundle which was like PS5 and PSVR 2, and it's reasonably priced to the point where the PSVR 2 is cut down slightly, because right now it's more expensive than a PS5, or about expensive as a PS5.
Yeah.
So if they bundle it and it looks like you're getting like $50 off or $100 off a PSVR 2, perhaps that would be something that kind of compels newcomers to be like, oh, I'm going to buy this console and I'll get a VR headset as well.
Yeah, I think they have a chance to sort of relaunch PSVR 2 as they announce new games, which I think most of us are assuming they at least have a handful left to announce, because they haven't had a showcase in a while, and PSVR 2 having just come out, they do have a showcase soon, which is, I keep hearing, they're going to have one before Summer Game Fest. I imagine that at least a couple of games in there, if not like a few, are going to be PSVR 2 related, and hopefully they're big deals. And if that's the case, well then this holiday they could sort of it's going to be in retailers here very soon, but here it is in retailers everywhere, and here's a holiday discount, and here's that awesome game we announced launching, and then next year that bundle could really come together. It's possible. Someone sent me a DM saying, hey, could they, if it fizzles out completely on PlayStation 5, do you think they could retreat into PC and make the headset compatible with PC? And I think that's not really the road that they can go. For one thing, it would be very difficult, because the way that the connector works, it needs to go through like a GPU on a PC to actually be able to take advantage of that. You can't plug it into your motherboard's USB-C port, because the video would not be coming through the GPU. So they'd have to create a dongle, and I just don't think Sony's in the mood to do any of that. Especially when I think, like, you're right, they have a chance to, with the PlayStation 5 selling so well, they can maybe brute force PSVR 2 back into being a success.
Yeah, and also, like, I don't know, I feel like they need to, as good as it is seeing them move into PC with ports and stuff, they still fundamentally are focused on a console business, and if they start democratizing too much of their output, it's gonna start undermining them long term. Like, people are gonna be like, well, I don't have to buy a PS5 anymore, because I know that any hardware or any software will eventually come out for PC. So I think there's an optics part of it, which also probably dissuades them from doing that.
Yes, and I think PSVR 2 seemingly being a Sony-led initiative as opposed to a PlayStation-led initiative lends credence to what you say, where it's like, the games, they want to make sure they're profitable. Yeah, those come to PC. Is Jim Ryan going to take on the effort of making a piece of hardware work with the PC? No way. You're right.
And then it's just you're kind of like setting yourself. The PC is a bonsai tree of development. Like, you have to keep coming back to it and clipping it and like taking care of it in a way that nothing else requires. Like, you'll have to set up a separate team for support and that kind of stuff. And the variables on a PC hardware level are just so many that it will just be a nightmare to do.
One good thing for PlayStation Plus as well is that its users hit 47.4 million in Q4, which is flat year over year, but it's still the highest since they revamped the service in June. So it's like that revamp seemed like it was meant to revitalize and take PlayStation Plus to the next level. I think we clearly could see that didn't really happen, and a lot of us are able to diagnose what went wrong there. It's kind of confusing. No one really knows why premium is worthwhile, because the classic games are so few and far between. But whatever it is. It's but at the very least, it is back at the same level it was, or the highest level it was since before the revamp. So it's like, well, they could still build on that. It's not like it caused any issues either, right?
Here's the thing, right? None of their online services, subscription services, have Tokyo Jungle on it, so
Ooh.
it's trash. It's trash.
I mean, you heard him. Get to work, Jimmy. Get to work, Jim.
Jim, Tokyo Jungle.
Why wouldn't
What happened? Let's go.
Why wouldn't that be on there? It's just that's
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's mad.
It's like they would just
Get it on there.
Yeah, it's not like there's some like technical issue or whatever. Just put it on there.
I want to play as a Pomeranian and just absolutely decimate other animals. Okay.
To go back to what we said earlier, fat Pomeranians, those are pretty cool. I like a fat Pomeranian.
Fat Pomeranian will be quite funny.
All right, let's move along here. Activision Blizzard CEO says cloud gaming is inconsequential, and CMA decision makes no sense. This is the continued fallout from the story of the UK CMA blocking Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick out there on a charm offensive, Tam. He's going to take over the world with his just winning personality.
I'm not being rude, but no one's getting charmed by Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, is he the first person to be like on a charm defensive or whatever? Or maybe offensive is the right term for him. Yes, very offensive. Boy, he stinks, actually. Bobby Kotick.
I honestly, like, I think even Bobby would admit, like, he has a reputation and he looks cartoonishly evil. Like, you're like a mixture of Mr. Burns and Big Pete. So it's not happening, man.
Our boy Bobby was on a Bloomberg show where he kind of was talking about a lot of this stuff. He said cloud gaming is an inconsequential part of the business. It is my view that over the course of the next decade, what you're going to see is phones having greater power, greater capability, better graphics, faster ability to broadcast out to a large screen. The idea that you need processing in a cloud and that would somehow be more efficient than the local processing capability that exists on phones or other dedicated devices like computers, it actually is almost the opposite of the conclusion that CMA reached. Their belief was that somehow cloud gaming was going to be the biggest growth area in the industry. I want to laugh at this take, but also I'm like, yeah, phones are going to just keep getting more powerful. And
yeah, it's kind of like, it is kind of based.
Yeah, kind of is. Yeah, it's like, yeah,
it's kind of like micro based,
right? Yeah, like we're just a tiny, like 1.5 on the base scale. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, yeah, we cloud game, we all just assume like, well, yeah, that way you don't need local power, but everyone is going to still keep having a phone. And and phones are already more powerful than PlayStation 3s and Xbox 360s. They are about as powerful as the base PS4s or Xbox Ones. And I guess that was probably a couple years ago, so they're more powerful than that already. So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't we just run stuff off of there instead? Maybe cloud game is weird.
I think the next evolution is when you can play a game through a cloud onto the phone, but then beam it to a TV too.
Yes,
I feel like that's where people will be like, oh, this is a real thing that I can do. And like give it that kind of Switch like portability.
Yeah.
I think the thing that a lot of capital G gamers think about is like playing a game on the phone is fine, but the bigger the game, the more you're kind of interested in having a kind of a relaxed and an experience that does justice to the game you're playing, and that isn't staring at a tiny screen, it's a big screen. So I feel like once the only thing that will stop hardware from actually being purchased is when it's possible to do that flawlessly and have it on a big screen, use your kind of like speaker system, headphone system, whatever it may be. So whoever figures out how to take a cloud game from a phone and then put it on a TV, I think they'll be the big breakthrough.
Yeah, and I think it's right, because it's like that last mile problem that we talk about, where it's easy to get the video to someone's house, then getting them to interact with it in the way that they want, that they're comfortable playing a game in. Well, they're okay. I guess they can go get their old PlayStation controller, connect that through Bluetooth to their TV. No one's gonna fucking do that. Most of the audience we're talking about, no way, they're not gonna fucking do that. So it's like, that's the problem that continues to need to be solved. Yeah. The phone, people will just, it's always in their hand. They're just going to find, I'll find the games I want to play on here. It's really funny
because, I play games on my phone, but I play phone games on my phone. I'm not interested in playing console games on my phone. I want game developers and publishers to make games for the phone that cater and are designed to utilize, the fact that it's a portable phone and make the mechanics interesting because of that. I really hate the idea of just big games being playable on your phone. It just like really it feels creatively stifling in a lot of ways. Like I played some amazing games on my phone, and none of them are like it's Destiny, but on your phone.
Yeah.
It's like I'm playing games like that are designed specifically to take advantage of phone hardware, and that's what like is exciting about that gaming space. We don't talk about it much these days, but like Apple Arcade is really cool still. Like
Yes.
I jump in there and I'm like constantly trying games and playing games, and I never try, or I just do not get on with the ones that are like, oh, this is the phone version of the video game that on your console. So it's like I don't give a shit. Get away from me.
And I think game development is sort of morphing a little bit to meet the needs of both. And some of the Lexi in chat pointed out Honkai Star Rail is one of these. It's like basically just a real full-fledged RPG, turn-based in the same way that Genshin was like a Breath of the Wild clone. And it's these big free things. It makes a lot of sense on mobile, but it's also a gacha game still, and it's like it's going to be those sort of things that are the amalgamations of these different ideas that still can fit on a phone. You can play that on PC. It's going to come to console eventually, I'm sure. Star Rail, I think it was in a PlayStation showcase, wasn't it? So, or in that showcase, but a state of play. So it's like, yeah, that's where stuff's going to keep kind of moving. I think if games are going to keep getting bigger, and the idea maybe here that goes against Kotick is downloading them on your phone versus like streaming the video. Maybe the streaming the video so you don't have to have to do that huge download is going to make a lot of sense for people, especially in any sort of emerging market that might have slower infrastructure. It's like, yeah, just it's slower infrastructure to download a 100 gigabytes of a game, but it could do 5 megabits per second to actually play the game streaming or whatever. So still though, I think overall the CMA's decision is weird, but if they believe that's the market they want to protect, more power to them.
Yeah. Good luck.
FromSoftware wants to release games more frequently. This comes from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. In a new interview with Eurogamer, FromSoftware's Yasuhiro Kaito has said that the team working at the acclaimed development studio wants to release games more frequently. He said, "This is an area we feel we've always strived to achieve. We're always making something new, always making something original, something that we find interesting and fun as players. So in this sense, really, nothing much has changed. We do develop multiple titles simultaneously. We do have several teams working on different projects. We hope to stagger our releases and bring something new and exciting at hopefully not so long intervals going forward." Armored Core 6 is coming out in August. August 25th was the date. They just announced that. That is a year plus since Elden Ring. They're already on this pretty rapid release schedule, and I couldn't be kind of more impressed. That is, to go from Elden Ring to having another big game a year plus later, that seems impossible unless you are operating at on all cylinders, right?
Yeah, this is interesting to me because it's both exciting and concerning.
Yes, I was wondering. I was wondering how you kind of felt about this.
This, like, yeah, I mean, like everything, like Kitao-san says, like, makes sense and is very much in line with them. But there's a feeling of in From's games where it feels like it's made by a team that isn't huge. It feels like there's a lot of people, but they're like the kind of people who know each other and are doing things really like streamlined, and they know the type of game that they're always trying to make. And I think that each of their games is unique in some aspect. Even the Dark Souls games that are sequels to each other, like each of them has something unique in them. And my worry is when they like start rapidly producing these games, the same thing that happens to all the other companies that started pumping out games quickly is the ideas started to homogenize. The design ideas were like the same across each game. You climbed a tower every time. Is the same thing of Call of Duty started feeling a lot of the same in a lot of ways. So I do hope that FromSoftware is, if they do intend to, I mean, they say they want to. They're not saying they are going to. which is the difference. And like, I hope that they're able to do it in a way that maintains the kind of creativity and the uniqueness of every time they put out a game. It's something interesting, something unique. And they've definitely shown they've got the capacity to do it. Like I said, Dark Souls is very different from Dark Souls 2 and 3. Bloodborne is very different from all of those. And then Sekiro is completely different. And now we've got, Armored Core, and they did Deresene, a VR game, for a little bit. So, like, they know what they're doing. I hope that they maintain a level of control over the kind of the pace at which they put in these games out, and I hope that it doesn't mean that they balloon into a massive developer that suddenly it becomes a FromSoftware factory, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I think coming out of Elden Ring and realizing they took the time that game clearly needed to make an Elden Ring, I totally lean in the direction of they should take the time that they need, and don't force it, and don't because there's that saying, it's like it could be quick and good, or it can be quick and cheap, but it can't be like all three.
Yeah.
They're definitely playing with that sort of triangle a little bit, and you got to be careful with that, because there is a huge value in FromSoftware games being FromSoftware games, and if moving the timeline up messes with that, I agree. That's like it's kind of playing dangerous games with the golden goose a little bit.
Yeah, you know where we're at now in the FromSoftware timeline? Yeah,
where?
We've got enough FromSoftware games to make a FromSoftware Smash Brothers clone.
That's honestly, just make one of those per year. Just do one of those year after year.
Come on, wouldn't you play that game?
Of course, yeah. I would desperately want to see what that would look like.
Artorias?
Yes.
Like, that would be so good. On like, I don't know, near the kiln of the first flame. You got a hunter there. And
somehow Waluigi's in this one, but not in Smash Brothers. Still, yeah. Waluigi's piloting the mech from Metal Wolf Chaos. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
That's
President's in it.
I want in the President Waluigi. Let's see if there's anything else from the story. I don't know. Armored Core 6. How are you feeling about that?
I'm feeling good about it. Like, admittedly, I'm not a big Armored Core person.
Yeah, I've never really played them.
I've played a couple of them, but they're like, big robots don't really make me hard.
Sure, I get it.
In the way that it makes everyone else hard, like, if you know what I mean.
Totally.
I wasn't super into, like, the only Gundam I've seen is I forgot the name of it. That's how little I remember it. But I've seen a small amount of Gundam. Obviously, Evangelion is probably those are the biggest robots that do something for me.
Sure.
But even Metal Gears are probably the only big robots that truly do it for me, though. You know what I'm saying? I see Ray, I'm pitching a tent. But so like, the Armored Core is probably not something that works for me. It hasn't worked for me traditionally, but this is the new era of Armored Core. It seems like, FromSoftware making it. I'm indebted and it's compulsory for me to at least check it out, so I'm gonna check it out.
I mean, I think the big thing for me, and I've said this repeatedly now, but when I look at it, it looks like the high quality FromSoftware art that you kind of can't get anywhere else. So if it's if I got to try out this Armored Core to get some more of that sweet FromSoft art, I'll do it, no problem. Let's check it out, and then who knows? There's probably a good game in there, because
I rewatched the trailer that I think is the Game Awards trailer, isn't it? Oh my God.
What has happened, Tam? Tam, is your house haunted?
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, man. What is going on?
What was that?
His light just got
my light
super bright. 100% bright.
Oh my God. I'm dying.
What happened? How'd that happen?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think my house is haunted.
Okay.
What's going on?
The router's haunted. It knows you're about to replace it.
Yeah. I rewatched that trailer from the Game Awards. It is alarmingly like a Souls game. Like, it's so close to a Souls game that I was like, how are they doing this, man?
I said that, and I'm like, everyone who disagrees with me, I'm like, please, God, please, I don't want to argue with you. Please, I don't want to argue with you, but I see it. When I look at it,
it's literally they're talking about, like, the fire is fading.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, what are you doing, man?
Let the cinders burn.
Like, come on, yeah. And then at the end, it's got, like, the flame, like, covering the earth. I'm like, That's just it looks like the Age of Rot ending from
Marino says
Elden
it's
Ring.
called Bonfires of Rubicon. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
I see it too. You know, it's gonna be an Armored Core game first, absolutely. But I don't think there'll be bonfires. I think there's gonna be a lot of times where like, yeah, this is the Souls element coming into this game. I'm gonna say that a lot. All right, moving along here. Star Wars Jedi Survivor was mainly created with devs working from home and faster than other big games. This comes from Demi Williams at GameSpot. Star Wars Jedi Survivor director Stig Asmussen has revealed now how the team at Respawn was able to develop the upcoming sequel so soon after the first game was released. In a recent interview with Bloomberg, Asmussen discussed the process of making the sequel to the 2019 game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order in such a short amount of time when compared to the average time it takes to develop a modern AAA title. He explained that it was easier to plan out and schedule for the second game because they were not creating an entirely new type of game, saying, if anything, it's a testament to the team, and to be fair, it was 3.5 years. The director shared that the team was already planning Survivor when Fallen Order was released in November of 2019, but after the pandemic hit, they had to adapt to working from home. Asmussen added that he thinks they were somewhat fortunate because during that time, they were really in early production, adding the lion's share of Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been working remotely. Tam, I just started Jedi Survivor, but I've talked to a lot of people who seem to really love it, despite the bugs and the performance issues, which are there. But overall, they've made a really incredibly detailed world that has a lot going on, a lot of features, a lot of problems from the first game addressed, and they nailed it. 3.5 years is very fast these days. And doing that remote, it's like, man, they're just kind of proving that this can be done, right?
Yeah, I think like the interest part of it for me is like games have been made from remote environments for a really long time. Like, I imagine there's some indie developers that are looking at like these studios and being like, "We've been doing this for fucking years."
Yeah, like,
right?
I've never even met like that guy over there.
I don't know who does. I've never met the art man on my game, so we only talk through Zoom, and but like, I think the most interesting part, or the kind of landmark moment, or the thing that Stig is like kind of hinting towards, is like, this is a AAA game made almost entirely remotely. And that is impressive, especially for a game of the quality of Jedi Survivor. Admittedly, again, yes, there is a tech mess right now on PC and
especially,
on consoles as well to a degree.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it is an impressive feat that they've pulled off. And I think a lot of it does come from what Stig was saying, where it was like they were early in production. So they didn't have to pivot to making a game half remote, half
right. They could design their processes in that moment. Yes, that probably did help.
It wasn't adapting workflows. It was just establishing new workflows from scratch to work for this game. And you play the game and keep in mind that it's done entirely remotely, and it's very impressive. Like it's a good sign that developers, I mean, it's now when people are like, when CEOs are like, you need to come into the studio to make this game, that's the only way it's going to be a good game, people can go, I don't think so. Respawn made Jedi Survivor from remote working environments, so I don't know what you're talking about, Bobby.
Right. Yeah, Bobby's like, hey, please, please come make my real estate investments worth something again. Like, coming and spending time with me in the office. Get fucked. Like, that is
exactly.
So many. I mean, and developers are saying no. They're leaving that company, Activision, and they aren't. And really, you see a lot of people online say, like, when I'm looking for a job, I'm not looking at Activision because I know they require people to come into the office. So this is change, and I think it's going to be hard to argue with the results of something like Jedi Survivor.
And it also just opens up game development to more, right? Like, I feel like these days, obviously, with international movement and that kind of stuff, it's much easier to get talent from different parts of the world. But I feel like it's allowing remote development to become more of a norm, means opening doors for people who aren't in America or one of the other development hotspots to start contributing to games, which just means new perspectives, new ideas from corners of the world that you wouldn't even think about looking to, and that is going to have a good knock-on effect for games as a creative medium, whether it's like the core of development, the tech stuff, how you code, or it's like art and writing and design and music. It just means that everyone can now get in on a development of a major game, and hopefully the knock-on effect. Obviously, indie games are always doing really interesting things, but hopefully the knock-on effect of this is like some of that ingenuity and creativity that we almost take for granted in indie games a small amount of it will transfer over into bigger budget blockbuster AAA games, and they'll be better for it.
Nor in games in the Twitch chat is like, hey, are you guys giving this a pass? But other games get crushed for these issues. And I just I can only speak for myself on that when it comes to Jedi Survivor. If you look back at like my Cyberpunk review, the issues with the game, like the bugs, was never my problem. It just wasn't as much it wasn't as fun of a game as I wanted it to be. And this game overcomes any of its technical issues that I've encountered so far because it's been really good so far. PC, I haven't played it on PC though. So if people are saying, wait, like Dan's like, I'm not playing this because it keeps crashing in my PC every time I try to play it.
I feel like what Jeff you said there on a console makes a lot. I'm playing it on PS5.
Same.
It is definitely. I've had times where I've loaded into the game and there's no light, as in like there's no source of light in the game. I'm just in the dark, and like I've had like screen tearing and frame rate issues. 100% it happens to me on PS5. It's not been so severe that it's kind of taken me out of the experience. Like I played Jedi Survivor yesterday for maybe 2 hours and nothing happened. Like it was perfectly fine.
I had some frame drops and stuff. That's what I've had.
Yeah, exactly. The problem with if you're trying to say, are we giving a pass or not? Maybe we are giving it a pass on console. On PC, the problem is it's performing so poorly that it undermines the experience as a whole.
Yes.
So that's where it doesn't get a pass. If you ask me today, like, should I buy Jedi Survivor on PC? I would tell you no. Don't do that.
You can just wait.
I'm like, should I buy it on console? I'd say if you really want to play it soon, you will have a mostly fine experience on console. There are some small
if the issues are going to bother you right now or not. Like like. Are you going to be able to ignore it? Well, do you care about the characters and like what this game's laying down? Then if you care about that stuff, you're probably going to be able to ignore it, which is what happens to me in like most games that I enjoy. Bug, that's funny. All right, we have a quick look going up. Tom Caswell from GameSpot came over and helped out. He ran the quick look and I asked him some questions, and we encountered some bugs there, and it was all like, oh, that's cute. And I can't help it. That's how I feel about it in this game. The Last of Us gets a massive 25 gigabyte patch on PC with lots of fixes and improvements. Just kind of a heads up, another one from Demi Williams at GameSpot. Naughty Dog has released a massive 25 gigabyte update for the PC version of The Last of Us Part 1, with version 1.0.4.0 focusing on optimizing frame rate and performance while also solving crash issues. I mostly point this out because I was made aware that apparently EA has not really updated Dead Space on PC all that much, and so it's still in a pretty rough shape. It's not like broken, but it's not getting the love that you would have expected a game like that to get after launch. And it's kind of nice to see. Well, as far as Naughty Dog's concerned, this is a real release that they're not just firing and forgetting. They want to make sure it's in a good state. I'm encouraged by that.
Yeah, I think it's partly because they got a rep to maintain.
Yes,
and also this is also a prestige franchise IP. They can't have some part of it, even a small like smear against it, just out there for a long time. So I'm not surprised that they didn't fire and forget it. There are definitely games out there that are still just a bit gross to play, but I'm glad that they're sticking with it. I think that they know that wherever people want to play The Last of Us, it needs to be a optimal experience. And as you know, the popularity of the IP grows thanks to HBO's show and season 1, season 2 coming in the future, they need to make sure that anyone who's had an interest in The Last of Us sparked, wherever they turn, they'll have a good, high quality experience. So I'm not surprised at this at all, and I kind of like applaud them for going back and sorting it out. It just also means that the kind of trend of PlayStation to PC ports continues to be good, because I think that, as far as I know, all of them have been pretty damn good, other than maybe I think Days Gone was a little rough.
Yeah, I remember that launch being pretty spotty. Yes.
And I haven't kept up with whether they fixed that or not.
I think they did.
Yeah, so like they're like they're doing right by their ports, which is good. Yeah, and then I think Horizon was also
that also rings a bell, and that definitely got fixed. Yes, and honestly, it got to a really good spot, I think, with that game. So someone in chat said they were playing that Honkai Star Rail on phone, Zaki, and that their phone's on fire. And it's like I was just like visualizing all of the transistors inside that little chip just flipping back and forth 1 trillion times per second, so you can have your waifus. You should be grateful. Be grateful for that. You can have your waifus on the go.
That heat isn't coming from the phone; it's coming from your waifus.
Yes, exactly. Another heads up, May's Xbox Games with Gold includes Episode 1 Racer, Andy Robinson of VGC. Subscribers can claim Star Wars Episode 1 Racer May 1st through May 31st, and puzzle platformer Hoa May 16th through June 15th. I'm mostly pointing this out because Episode 1 Racer is the first time I might want to go and get an Xbox Live game for gold in maybe a year, if not more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Took a young Anakin Skywalker to make that happen.
You know, I love that little boy. That's my bus boy. He's got. Have you seen his shadow? It looks like what Darth Vader looks like.
Yeah, no, that's pod racing.
Now that's pod racing to me. It's just like, oh yeah, games for gold. I always forget about it until these things can pop up once per month. It's got to go away eventually, right? It's just kind of mostly depressing.
I feel like they're really like scraping the bottom of the barrel now. And like, that's not to say like Microsoft doesn't have any other, like Game Pass is still killing it out there. Like, it just doesn't make sense to have them be like coexisting right now. It's just weird. Just make like a Game Pass game free, or I mean, what am I talking about? It's free anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get rid of it.
Yes, it's weird. All right, let's see here. Redfall's minimum recommended and ultra PC hardware specifications requirements are revealed, and they're not too bad. This comes from Nick Rivera at Twinfinite. On April 27th, Redfall's Twitter account posted an image with the PC requirements to run the new Vampire Slaying first-person shooter from Arcane Austin. PC players can now be sure whether or not their system can run it. For the minimum specs, they ask for an AMD RX 580, which is ancient. That is ancient stuff, or a GTX 1070. Like a 580 is, you could have been running Doom at 1080 60 on that in 2014, 2015. And it's like, man, that's the idea that it's kind of still out there doing its job. That's pretty impressive.
Keeping it alive.
For the recommended specs, they bump you up to an AMD 5700 or an RTX 2080. For the CPU, they're going to want you to have like an Intel Core i7 9700K. Which that is like, in the last 5 years, that's still kind of pretty reasonable. And then for the ultra specs, they do bump you up to, actually, they're still okay with the i7 9700K, but for your graphics card, you're going to need either an RX 6800 XT or an RTX 3080, which actually to me still sounds very reasonable for like, to get our ultra setting 3080. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Good for them, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Good for them. That's I think I was just expecting the worst because the console version's not going to run at 60 frames per second at launch. What is going on there? Like, if you can get, like, the recommended settings, I'm assuming being that you can get 1080, 60 frames per second, right? So why wouldn't you just do the same exact profile on the consoles? There's got to be something else going on, but...
Yeah, it's got to be something related to the engine or something like that. I don't know what it is, like the way the engine talks to the console.
Something's tied to the frame rate in some weird way.
Going weird. I'm not going to make a fool of myself by like speculating and revealing. I don't know anything about how development works.
Yep, so same. But we're going to know what this game is going to feel like here in not too long. The game's out next week, so everyone's
maybe there's a tiny little gremlin in the code that is just going around and being like, I'm going to not allow any of this to happen. Who knows?
I hate that gremlin.
Game development is wild.
That gremlin also looks very cute when it's fat. So
yeah.
The Case of the Golden Idol, the Spider of Lanka DLC adds more mystery to the indie hit. This comes from Jason Finelli at GameSpot. PlayStack's The Case of the Golden... real quick, Tam, they're killing it over with news at GameSpot recently. They've been crushing it. Make sure you tell the team I said that.
I'll tell the team.
PlayStack's The Case of the Golden Idol quickly became one of the major indie successes of 2022 thanks to its unique mystery-solving gameplay. Today, the developer has announced The Spider of Lanka, a new downloadable expansion, which adds 3 more mysteries to the game beginning May 4th. The Spider of Lanka is set in 1741, 1 year before the first mystery of the core game, and it serves as a prequel to the original game. Did you ever get around to checking this out, The Case of the Golden Idol? It's like a murder mystery puzzle sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's good, isn't it?
It's one of the games I want to go back to. I played a little bit of it, and I was like, "Ooh, I like this. This is fun." But yeah, it's. I'm glad that it's living on. Jeff,
yes.
I will have to divert the news.
Yeah, let's do it
somewhere else.
Yeah, do what you got to do. What do we got to do? Oops,
Vampire Survivors animated TV series on the way.
Okay, I love that. Let's go.
Deadline reports the viral gaming sensation Vampire Survivors is in the works for television. Story Kitchen is partnering with the game's developer Ponkel founder Luca Galante, I think that's how you pronounce his name, to adapt the comedic gothic horror video game into a premium animated television series. In the game, described as Vox Machina meets Castlevania, I'm not sure if that's a good description of it.
Yeah.
Players control an automatically attacking character while fighting against continuous waves of monsters, with the goal being to survive the onslaught for as long as possible. The game is set in 2021 in rural Italy. I had no idea that was the case.
Well, listen, I don't want to be pedantic, but wasn't the pandemic like ravaging Italy in 2021? What are they doing?
I did not know there was this many details to it. I guess because Stephanie Sterling is working on the writing the story around it, so maybe there's way more to it. There lived an evil person named Visconti Draculo, whose many evil magics create a bad world filled with famine and suffering. It's now up to the members of Belpi's family to end his reign of terror and return good food to the table.
All right, this sounds
the search
nuts,
is underway for a writer. I mean, Stephanie Sterling's on it, so
I mean, listen,
got one there.
We're right here. We can help out.
Yeah. Oh, we can help out. I played a lot of Vampire Survivors. Project will be shopped to animated TV network buyers. Yeah. The most important thing in Vampire Survivors is the story. What?
No, it's not. I'm sorry. That is just factually inaccurate.
That's what Luca said. Which Luca is an interesting person, but.
All right, Luca.
You're a liar.
Luca, you're a liar.
You're a liar. You know what's the important part of it? It's garlic.
Yeah, the most important thing is, oh, there's some garlic. Now I can win. Yeah. I guess that's a pretty good story, though.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. The most important thing in Vampire Survivors is the story, so it's a dream come true to see what started as a little indie game I made on my weekends come to life as an animated TV show. Lucas said that. It's also great to be partnering up with such experienced and talented people to make the show. I do wonder if they realize that there isn't a single vampire in Vampire Survivors, though. It's true.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I don't know what Story Kitchen was founded by John Wick writer-creator Derek Kolstad, Sonic the Hedgehog film and TV producer Dimitri M. Johnson, and former APA agent/partner Mike Goldberg. The company currently has game-to-TV adaptations of Tomb Raider and Splinter Cell in production at Netflix. Sega's Toe Jam and Earl and Streets of Rage, respectively, set up as at Amazon and Lionsgate. It Takes Two set up at Amazon, as well as additional yet-to-be-announced partnerships.
That is all right. Hey, listen, video games are hot. Mario made $1 billion. Vampire Survivors the next thing to make $1 billion.
That is honestly that is exactly what I was going to say. I feel like the floodgates are open now that Mario's done $1 trillion.
Well, I mean, the floodgates are open because our boy Anthony Mackie here dropped a new trailer for Twisted Metal. Tam, I'm sharing my screen with you. Do you want to watch it?
Let's watch it.
All right, let me know when you're good to go.
I cannot believe the arc that Anthony Mackie.
Anthony making poor business decisions.
This is the Papa Doc extended cinematic universe is thriving right now. He went from 8 Mile to just now he's in Twisted Metal. What a lad. Let's watch it. Let's do a live react.
I'm hitting it. Let me know if you can't hear it because I can get the audio to you.
I can hear it. Yes, Anthony. Let's go.
All right, everyone, I turned down the volume. Sorry about your ears.
Okay. Yeah, I get it.
Got Red Book audio.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Oh, he's gonna talk to the camera. All right, I like that. That's pretty good.
What is? Steal My Sunshine? Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh no. Give us the clown.
Las Vegas.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Little teaser there. I guess.
I guess. Yeah. Sure. Whatever.
Let's see our boy Samoa Joe. This is Samoa Joe, right? Everybody, that's who's
I
playing.
think that's Samoa Joe, right?
Right, I think so.
This looks like a that neck. I mean, like it looks like a live action attempt at a Twisted Metal
Yes,
game.
it really does.
Like in every way possible.
For whatever that
like,
could possibly mean, well, it means this.
No offense to Samoa Joe or anyone looking at it, this looks like a cosplay of Sweet Tooth.
Yes, it does.
Like,
and
okay.
I mean, I hope you have fun. Have fun making the show, and then maybe that'll rub off in what I'm watching. I'm like, okay, I can tell you guys had fun. I can have fun do it with that as well.
If you guys are having fun, that's what matters. Okay,
that's exactly. So as long as both teams have fun, it doesn't matter who wins.
Yeah, but hopefully Vampire Survivors is a little better than that.
All right.
Sweet Tooth is the car. I get it.
Yes,
all right?
Sweet Tooth.
I forgot. Okay. Everyone goes on about how good Twisted Metal is and how important it is. I don't care.
You know what, Tam? I don't either. I don't care.
Yeah. What is the clown's name? I couldn't tell you.
Like Norman Reedus, I think, or something.
Yeah.
Titanfall 3 would have to be the right thing for it to make sense, Respawn boss says. This goes from Eddie McCoo at GameSpot. Titanfall developer Respawn's new game, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, releases next week, but what would the studio make next? Will it be Titanfall 3? Basically, he said no, and he's like afraid to say yes, but if they were to make it, it'd have to be the right thing. Do you think we ever get a Titanfall 3, Tam?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we get it. I think we get it. And I think we get it. I think we get it.
On the grand scale of time, yeah.
I think we'll get it within the next 10 years.
I think that's probably right. I don't think we get it in the next 4 to 5, but I think they maybe start it in the next 4 to 5, and then we get it in that second half of that decade.
It's just one of those things where it's like they are probably actively working on Titanfall in some capacity. Like someone in that studio somewhere is like writing stuff down. Yeah, they were for a little bit. And then when it fell apart, I don't think they said it's not happening anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I think they said go back to the drawing board and figure this out.
So it's like what happened is they basically were like, we're not canceling it, but who's going to lead this project? Who wants to like take over that stuff?
Yeah,
those were the big questions, and there was no obvious answers to that for a very long time. Yeah, so that's why it fell apart.
There will be a time when someone steps up and like it makes a lot of sense. Like Titanfall 2 was not a commercial success, but it was a critical success, and I mean, you can twist EA's arm into it. Is EA, isn't it? Yeah. EA's arm into it, like just by complaining about why it doesn't exist for long enough. Let's not forget, we all made Mirror's Edge 2 happen, and then no one bought it.
That's right.
So we can do the same for Titanfall 3, except this time you better buy it if it's good. Obviously, I mean, like. You did Titanfall 2 dirty. Don't do it to Titanfall 3. But yeah, I hope so.
I can't see.
I'm confident it's going to come back. I think it's one of those. I think it's like a trump card that they are just waiting and they'll play it whenever they're ready. You know.
I got to get my 2-factor so that I could sign into Twitter so I could see the results of this poll because it's not going to end for another 7 minutes and that's too long. I'm not going to wait that long. All right, let's see. 69.
So speaking to I'll vamp. Speaking to a PC gamer, Zampella said, we're not working on anything currently related to Titanfall. I hate to say yes, then people latch onto that and then skewer you when it doesn't come. But I would love to see it happen is the real answer. So I think they're doing the Blizzard thing where it's like they're making something, but they're not telling anyone they're making it, because when you tell people, they're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So they'll carry on making attempts at Titanfall until something sticks, and then that's when they kind of will announce it, you know?
Yes, definitely. All right. You know what? In the meantime, I was going to point this out earlier. Waypoint is shutting down over at Vice, and that's just a tragedy. Gaming deserves to have a Waypoint out there. So shout out to them. They're going to keep going for, they said they're going to kind of run the clock out until June 2nd. So make sure you kind of give them love whenever they're doing streams and stuff like that. And, Patrick and the team over there, make sure you give them love. They obviously deserve it. Yeah.
It's a sad situation. That team is so talented. And the team that is there now, as well as the team that came through it before, like they're all people that you guys know, through the industry, but also connections to Giant Bomb as well. And they were doing really cool stuff. They were doing really fun stuff. I hope that when it's all said and done, they walk away proud of everything that they achieved there, because as someone watching from the outside, I was like constantly engaged, constantly impressed by the work that they were doing. So hold your heads up high, even if the industry is trying to pull it down low.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the industry continues to be in a weird place of covering games. It's transitioning, but it's been transitioning for 15 years straight, it feels like. So there's the one thing you kind of sort of count on in this business is like next year things are going to be different. And so kind of try and get that solid footing, which gives me a little bit of anxiety looking over there at Patrick's got 2 kids, and all those people are making moves in their lives like based on having steady work. It's like, well, steady work is maybe sort of a bit of a fantasy in this world. So just it's rough. I love Waypoint. I always loved Waypoint. They had such good podcasts, such good criticism of video games. So it's a major loss.
This sounds like a kind of a typical like reactionary thing, but I hope they come back in some way. Like,
of course,
audience supported like is very viable now. I don't know how viable it is for sustaining an entire life alone, but I don't know. I would love to see them do a Patreon or something.
All right,
that would be cool.
That would, yes, I agree. I would like that a lot. Twitter's not letting me log in over here, so I think we're going to run the clock out until it gives me the results there.
Okay.
While I'm waiting for that, though, I have a new poll that I'll get put up. But in the meantime, Tam, why don't you tell people what you have going on, what we have going on in Giant Bomb in the next week or so, things like that.
So what do we have going on? So UPF is going to be Honkai Star Rail, I believe.
It's going to be part of it for sure, yes.
I'm in the Bay Area, and I keep feeling this like weird vibration in the air, and I'm pretty sure it is Jan.
I think that might be right.
Vibrating with excitement somewhere in the Bay Area, and it's just like sending ripples out. So Jan will be playing Honkai Star Rail, Honkshu, whatever it's called.
Yeah, we're gonna we might have some Street Fighter 6 as well. So
that would be good. That'd be fun. Street Fighter 6 it would be cool as well. And then next week we all we hit reset and start again. There's gonna be some big stuff happening on the GameSpot side. Please be excited. Please keep an eye on our YouTube channel. And yeah.
All right.
That's it.
I'm going to do the new poll.
Catch me on Blue Sky.
Send me an invite. Can I get an invite? I need an invite.
I don't know how you get an invite.
I don't know I have no idea.
So I got in there. Let me tell you, it's busted as hell.
Hell yeah. Good job, Jack. So another dub for Jack.
I love that we are all going to the new social network
Jack
created
Dorsey.
by the guy who sold the other social network to someone else who killed it. So it's like bizarre. I think, it seems like you need to be on Blue Sky for a certain period of time before you get an invite code. So because I just got in, I don't get any codes.
Okay.
But maybe like I'll get a code in like 10 days from now.
All right, Twitter. Hey, good news. Twitter's broken for me. So something went wrong, but don't fret. So the poll, when it does go up, is going to be: should remakes be considered for Game of the Year? Yes, no. Tam, what's your take?
Yeah,
I think yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Like, it's a really good stance.
Is it a significant, like, I think, like, if I wanted to be like nitty gritty about it, like, is it a significant change from the original experience? If it's just like a visual upgrade. Also, yes, because chances are, if you're having a genuine Game of the Year discussion, you'll talk about whether a simple visual upgrade is enough to make it stand out to the point where it's Game of the Year contender. And if someone's arguing that it is, it's probably an amazing visual upgrade that you probably want to flag, like in some capacity. Maybe it's not Game of the Year material, but like obviously the elephant in the room around discussion is Resident Evil 4 remake. Like, if you're going to tell me, should that be in contention for Game of the Year? Yes, it's a pretty impressive game. So I wouldn't like exclude that game from Game of the Year discussions, because it would be wild and we'd get destroyed by the audience, and it would hurt our credibility in the long run.
And I think you nailed it. There is no reason to do so, because if there is a reason it shouldn't be Game of the Year, it will come out in the discussion.
Yeah,
and that's you want to have those discussions. So I think you're 100% correct.
Yeah, I'm between like Resi and Dead Space, like you have to have that discussion. Like, and even Metroid to a degree.
Yeah. As a heads up to everybody, I will probably put this on Twitter, but if it's not on Twitter, it's because I think we're going to switch to YouTube polls. I'll see if Jan can post it on there. So I'll make sure everyone knows. I'll post on Twitter one way or the other what we're doing with that. But if polls are broken, because they were always saying we're going to stop polls for anyone who's not a blue check. So if that's happened, then yeah, let's go ahead and just move over to the YouTube polls. So look out for that. What else? Oh yeah, we did some fun stuff this week. Hyrule Hustle, Blight Club with Robo Mitch. You gotta see Mike in his costume. I'm sorry, in his suited up as Robo Mitch. It's a beautiful thing.
Backline and I did a Play It Forward.
That's right.
Where I was playing Alpha Protocol, and let me tell you, I got some shit done.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, I can't wait to get back and see what's happened.
I got some shit done. I also got some shit undone.
That episode's going up Monday, everybody. So look out for that. That's gonna be real fun. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Tam, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. You know I love it.
Thank you for having me. Of course, for having me.
Everybody, thank you for watching. We're gonna be back Monday with a new episode. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.